Welcome.
Here we are.
Welcome to church, y'all.
St. Philip's.
You know, yeah. So St. Philip. So all right, Lord, this is me being like, where to even begin? Because I know that we've already mentioned and talked about home church,
Yeah.
which is straight up the block, right?
Which
Again,
also makes sense why we're on Church Street.
they did this all on purpose. Right? It's like they did this on purpose. So there was a time when, if you were a member of the church, no matter what your race was, as long as you were a member, paid Moravian, you could sit and go to home church.
Okay.
And this is very actually innovative for the South, right? This is
There weren't any slave galleries that were there?
now look now, don't get this is the part where you put it on the screen and be like, you know what I'm
She
saying?
said if I don't know it, I ain't gonna show it.
That's right.
So so we don't know yet. We don't know if there were any slave galleries there.
Yes, I don't, at least. I'm sure someone does,
Sure.
but I don't. I could definitely make a quick call and find out
Gotcha.
about that for you. So they were allowed to worship in home church. And then the good Moravians, those Moravians, I would say as a group, are liberal, right? We're talking about educating girls in the 1770s,
Facts,
you know?
facts.
Black girls,
Yeah.
right? Very, progressive folks. But then they were sort of influenced, if you will, by some of their less progressive neighbors. And we're like, oh, you got Black people worshiping with you? Oh, no, y'all weird. Y'all weird. And that is how St. Philip's Church came to be, was that the Black congregants, actually, really the log church came first.
Okay.
Let's be clear. I guess that's where we should really start.
Sure.
Because
this one said 1861 is when it was
yes.
erected.
Yeah, the brick church.
Okay.
And so it starts with the log church. And so this is the place in which they came to worship when they could no longer worship in home church. So as we are thinking about what an average Black person would have experienced and the path that they would have walked, whether it's from work at the Salem Academy and College, which you literally just saw,
Yep.
still very much is a real thing, this is part of the path that they would have taken home. And so where this path leads is the sort of next stage in our video. Of course, now it's sort of broken because of a new modern road, right? That's been put in here. But this literally goes straight into Happy Hill, and that's how directly connected the Black church was, as well as Old Salem in general was, to its neighbor.
That is quite interesting.
Yeah, they would just walk.
Now,
And this is Ray Street.
Now, there's no buildings. Happy Hills. So educate me, educate us.
Yeah.
No homes are still there.
Oh yeah.
So it went further. It went farther beyond the soccer field
Yeah.
and all of that.
It's on the other side of the creek. So
Okay.
those trees are bordering a creek. And that creek is called Salem Creek. And the creek is kind of like the railroad tracks, like the highway. It was one of those first original but organic dividers of communities. So what happened was the town of Salem needed a new doctor. And the doctor that they hired was Dr. Schumann, who owned, I want to say, like 20-some enslaved people. And the good Moravians, even though they had kicked out the Black population from home church, they were like, well, I don't know about you having all these enslaved people in Salem. That's kind of a lot.
Right.
That's kind of a lot. So what they said was, hey, we've got this property across the creek, and so you can turn that into your plantation. And then just serve us here. So that is actually the original story of how Happy Hill got Black people in the first place. But then after emancipation happened, that plantation was broken up into parcels and became the first planned Black community in Winston-Salem.
Okay.
And so there's this legacy of Black people being on the land for centuries, though part of that portion was, of course, us being enslaved on that land. But this is one of those true American agency stories of like, we went from being property to owning property and deciding for ourselves that, hey, we don't want our houses to look like this. We want our houses to look like the houses that we remember from West Africa. So it's also a wonderful motif of how we didn't just come from nowhere. We remembered who we were. We remembered our culture. We remembered our homeland. But it also is a very much an example of what happens when certain things are saved and valued and other things are not.
No.